Hello everyone, good morning and a very warm welcome to today's webinar all about online payslips in Sage 50 Payroll. My name's Duncan, I'm your host and presenter, and I am joined by my colleague Alice, who's standing by in the background, ready and waiting to pick up any of your questions. Let's now take a look at what we're going to cover in the webinar. So we're going to start things off with a demonstration on how to set up online services in Sage 50 Payroll, which will involve creating your HR admin user and setting up your employees with their own unique email address that they will use to log in to access their payslips. I'm then going to show you how to upload payslips and P60s, and this can all be done in just a few clicks. So we'll look at the current payslips and we'll go back to upload some P60s from the end of the last tax year. I'm then going to give you a closer look at the online portal, explaining how to navigate the portal and some new ways that you can deal with starters and leavers, as well as giving your employees the option to self-serve any updates to personal details, which can then be synced back to Sage 50 Payroll. So I'll give you a good look at how all of that works. We'll briefly show you the employee portal, and we'll mention the mobile app that employees have access to, and then I'll run through all of the further support that's available to you at the end of the webinar. So let's start things off by looking at the process to set up online services. So with your Sage 50 Payroll subscription, you do have access to Sage HR online services in order to host your payslips and P60s. This is completely free. It's included in your payroll subscription, but there are additional modules that you can get from Sage HR, which you can choose to subscribe to. When it comes to the setup process, you'll be following 7 steps within your online services settings, shown on the screenshot just there. And to give you an overview of what's involved in these steps, steps 1 to 3 is where you'll be creating your main Sage HR admin user. So you will need to sign in with an email address and a password, and then register that payroll to use online payslips. And we would recommend that your admin user has a separate email address to any of your employees. So even if you yourself are going to be the admin user, if possible, use a more generic style email address to be the admin login, and then you would have your own email address to access your own personal payslips. You also have the option of setting up additional users to be able to use online payslips and to upload to the online portal. Next couple of steps, steps 4 and 5, is where you set up your employees by providing their email address. And then if you want to, you can create their HR profile straight away by uploading historical payslips. And this is when your employees would be invited to register for online payslips, and then they would then follow a registration process where they would set up their own password. Now, if you choose not to upload the historical payslips, then you can come back and run that step at any time. The employees will be invited to online payslips the first time you upload their current payslips. So whichever payslip is uploaded first, that's when they get the invitation email. And then the final 2 steps in the settings are around showing or hiding holidays on payslips. And this is the holiday information recorded in Sage 50 Payroll, and it provides a handy link to your company's online portal. And that's a link that you can share with your employees if they want a direct link to log in. So I do want to show you where to find these settings. So what I will do is just bring those slides down, and we'll just jump into a quick demo. So I'm logged into Payroll, and I'm going to start by selecting the company option in the bottom left corner. And then from this list of tasks, you'll find one here for online services settings. That takes you into the settings where you've got the 7 steps to work through, starting at the top and working your way down. And as you complete these steps, the first 2 steps will be ticked to indicate that you have registered your company and you've created your HR admin users. But steps 3 onwards will not be ticked, because you can at any time in the future come back to the settings and go back into those steps. So I've already completed steps 1 and 2. So I've signed in with a Sage account, and I've chosen an email address that won't be used by any of my employees for their payslips, and I've registered this payroll for online services. Now, step 3 would only apply if you have additional users in your payroll. So if I click on to do it now for step 3, you'll see that I do have a couple of additional users for myself and Alice, but currently we only have one email address that's authorized to upload the online payslips, and that is the admin email address that I used when I completed steps 1 and 2. So if I wanted other users to be able to upload payslips using their own Sage account, email address and password, I can add additional email addresses by clicking Add User here at the bottom. You can type that email address in, and then that Sage account could then be used to upload payslips as well. Now, I'm actually going to cancel out at this point. I just want my main admin email address to be able to upload. And then we'll move on to the next couple of steps around managing employees and uploading historical payslips. So if I click Do It Now for step 4, this gives you a list of all employees, and by default, it will exclude any current leavers. And it'll show the email address that you've recorded in their employee record, which will also be the email address the employee uses to log in. For any employee that you want to use online payslips, you would tick the box next to their name. So if you're just starting out, you might choose a pilot group of employees just to test it out and see how they get on. Or you could select all employees by ticking the box here at the top of the screen. If there isn't already an email address in their employee record, you can type one in here, or you can set an email address using a standard structure by using the Set Email option. So for example, the email address is firstname.surname@sage.com. That's what we have here at Sage. You could kind of populate the email address for everyone if it didn't already exist using the Set Email option, and then you can choose data fields to build an email address structure. So I've got all 5 of my employees set up for this option. So I'm just going to go ahead and save that step. And then if I want to, I can upload historical payslips going all the way back to 2014, if you've got historical data that goes that far back. And to do this, you would click on Do It Now next to step 5. You would enter a date range of the dates of payslips that you want to upload. So if I just wanted them for the current tax year, I could enter from April through to September. You would then choose which employees you want to upload historical payslips for. So again, you could tick the box at the top if you want it to be for all of the employees. And then you'll see a summary showing the number of payslips that will be uploaded, which employees are included, and there is a box that you can tick if you want to send a notification email for each of those payslips. But when you're setting this up initially, because you'll be uploading a number of payslips for each employee, I would suggest that you do not tick that box. Otherwise, they will receive an individual notification email for each payslip date. So in this case, they would get 6 emails each. So to upload them, you would click on to Publish Payslips. If these are the first payslips that you're publishing for your employees, this is when they'll receive their invitation email so that they can register and create their password. Or if you've already set them up, you can add their historical payslips at any time in the future. Now, I'm not going to publish these ones because I've already uploaded historical payslips. So I'm just going to close out of this step. And then just to show you the final 2 steps, displaying holiday entitlement from Sage Payroll on the payslips has an option of either showing or hiding. So if you're seeing the option to show, it means that holiday entitlement is currently hidden. If you're seeing an option to hide, it means that it's currently shown. Now, I don't use the holiday schemes in Payroll, so I've already got them hidden. I don't want to show that information, so nothing to do here. And then step 7 is a handy link to your sign-in page for your company's portal. It is specific to that payroll as well. So you can click on that link at any time if you want to access the online services. And employees could use the same website as well to sign in from their end. So those are all of your steps to set up online services. And I mentioned about employees being invited to use online services. So they would get a welcome email. Looks a little bit like what you're seeing on the slide here. That gets sent out when you upload their first payslip, whether that's a historical payslip or a current payslip for your next pay date. They would follow the link to create their Sage ID or Sage account. So they would use their email address, they'd create a password, and once they've done that, they can then log in either through the online portal from a web browser or even by downloading the Sage HR mobile app. Now, a quick tip about this welcome email. Employees do need to respond to this within a set period of time. So it's 24 to 48 hours. If the link has expired, you can resend the welcome email, and you'll find all the steps to do that if you follow the link there on the slide to resend a welcome email to an employee. So that's the setup process. Nice and simple. And what I want to show you next is the process for uploading payslips and P60s. So when it comes to payslips, you might at the moment be printing them or emailing them, but you should find that once you switch to online payslips, uploading them is a lot quicker and more efficient, and it can be done in literally just a few clicks. Now, when you come to upload them, you'll have options of when you want them to go live for your employees. So you can either publish them immediately. So as soon as you publish the payslips, the employee get a notification email, and they'll be able to view that from their portal. Or you can schedule them for a date in the future, maybe closer to pay date or on pay date itself, so that they would get the notification at that time. So this is done as part of the pay run, which I will show you in the demo. P60s is done as part of the year-end process. So currently we're in the middle of a tax year, but you can go back to a previous tax year to upload P60s to the portal, so your employees can easily access them and download them. So I'll show you where to find that step. It's very similar to the payslips, but there's no schedule option for P60. These ones would be uploaded immediately. So let's now take a look at the process. Again, I'll bring the slides down and we'll start with the payslips for my next pay date. So first of all, I'll just check that I've entered the correct process date. So that's my employee's pay date. They're being paid on Halloween. I've already been through to enter my employees' payments and deductions, and I've run a pension assessment if I'm using the pensions module. And then we're at the stage where we would produce pre-update reports, such as payment summary reports. And if you're happy with all of those reports, you'd then be ready to upload your payslips. So you'll see that it has its own option within the payroll tasks to upload online payslips. And when I click on that, first thing it shows you is a summary of the payslips you're about to upload. So in this case, I have 5 payslips for tax month 7. Shows the employee names, gross and net pay values. And then over here on the right-hand side, we've got the option to either publish immediately, if you want those to be live straight away, or to publish on a selected date. So I'm going to schedule these ones because payday isn't until kind of the end of the month. And I want these to go live to my employees the day before pay date, so the 30th of October in this example. Once I've selected that date, I just click Publish Payslips. And those payslips are then uploaded to the online portal and they'll become available to employees on that publish date. So as you can see, we've got a confirmation message that they've been successfully set to publish. And there is also a link if we wanted to log into the portal and view those payslips as an admin user. So rather than click on that link, I've already got the portal open. So I'll give you a quick look at what those payslips look like. So you'll see there is a payslips option on the left-hand side if you're an admin user. And when I click onto payslips just here, you can see top of the list, I have 5 payslips with a status of pending. So this means they're in the system, but they are not currently available to employees, as these will be published on the publish date, which I set as the 30th of October. Now, as an admin user, I can view this information by simply clicking on any of the payslips here. So this is the same view that the employee would see once it goes live to them. And we can even download the PDF version if there was any need to do that. Also have options if you wanted to select multiple payslips, download them all as a single PDF or as individual PDFs in a zip file. And if for some reason you've scheduled some payslips, but you want to delete them, you can delete pending payslips from this area by using that delete option. So this is where you would see them as an admin user, but employees would not see these employees wouldn't see these payslips for October until they actually go live. So we'll see more about this portal a little bit later on in the demo. So just closing that confirmation message, our payslips are now scheduled, and then we would complete the pay run in the usual way. So that's how you would do your current payslips. I do also want to show you uploading P60s. So I'm going to upload some P60s for the previous tax year that ended on the 5th of April, 2024. Really simple to do. First thing to do is to set your process date to the last day of the tax year that you're uploading the documents for. So in my case, I'm entering the 5th of April, 2024 as my process date. As soon as you've done that, you can then head to the payroll year-end options here in the bottom left corner. Just going to clear any employee selections. You can choose the tax year if the correct tax year isn't already chosen. So mine's already set to 2023 to 24. And then I can just jump ahead straight to produce P60s. And you'll see that we have then the option to upload online P60s to the portal. So when I click onto upload, similar to the payslips, it shows you a list of the employees that are set up for online services. I've got them all selected. So I'm going to upload the P60s for all of these employees, and then no option to schedule them. They will just publish immediately once I upload them. So if I click upload now, it'll just take a few seconds. And then we'll see a confirmation message on screen when they have been successfully published. So again, you've got a link to log in if you want to access those online services. If I just bring the portal back up, go back to my payslips area, you'll see there is also a P60s tab. So from there, I can see the 5 P60s that I've just uploaded for tax year 2023 to 24. And again, I can view the information on screen if I need to. And we can get the full PDF version by using the download links. So that's uploading your payslips and P60s. I'm just going to close out of the year-end process and just return back to my payroll tasks. And let's just give you a quick recap on what we've seen just there. So I started by uploading some current payslips, just using the upload online payslips task in the payroll process. So just a few clicks, you can check the gross and net pay values, and you can choose to schedule those payslips on a date in the future. Historical payslips, don't forget, you can go back to upload those at any time. So from your company tasks, you can go into online services settings. And if you then jump into step 5, you can pick the employees and the date range of the historical payslips you want to upload. And P60s, if you want to add the P60s to the portal for any historical tax year, start by changing your process date to the 5th of April of the relevant tax year. And then if you go to the year-end process and click produce P60s, and those can all be added on to the portal. So we've seen there some of the basics of online payslips and P60s, but there is a lot more to Sage HR online services, even the basic version that you get included with Payroll. So what I want to do for the rest of the webinar is to take you on a bit of a tour of the online portal. And I'm also going to show you some new options that you would have when dealing with starters and leavers, and also how to keep your Sage HR records in sync with your payroll records, allowing your employees to self-serve, make any updates to personal details such as their address or contact details. So we're going to start by looking through the online portal. So we're just going to be looking at the basic view that you get included with your payroll subscription. But if you have any of the additional HR modules, you will see a few more options than what we're going to show you today. So it includes a dashboard, which gives you a summary, including useful links where you can add your company logo. We've got the payslips area, which I've just showed you, where you can see as an admin user all of your payslips and P60s in one place. Company directory is where you store and manage all of your employee records, or employee profiles as we call them in HR. And then there's a couple of reports that you might find useful, and some settings to do with global and employee permissions, and also the option of using two-factor authentication for your employees, just adding that extra layer of security. So I want to show you some of these areas in the next demo. So let's just bring those slides down again. And we will jump back into the online portal. So I am signed in as the main admin user, and by default that admin user will have the email address as their username. So this is the profile for my admin user. We can also see that same email address at the top. The navigation is all done by using these options on the left-hand side. There is a handy search bar if there's a specific employee that you'd like to find in your list. So you can just type a few characters of their name in and you'll be able to click into them to get straight into that employee record. We'll come back to the employee record though. I'll start by showing you the dashboard here on the left-hand side. So on the admin dashboard, there's a few handy links. So this will take you to your settings where you can add your own company logo, which will replace the Sage logo in the top left-hand corner, adding that bit of personalization to the portal, and also a handy link to the knowledge base where you can read more about all things Sage HR. We then had that payslips area. This is only available to admin users, and this is where you can view all payslips that are published or scheduled, and also P60s that have been uploaded to the portal. And then we have our company directory. So this is where you find the employee records in Sage HR, and all of my employee records have been created by uploading payslips from Sage 50 Payroll. So it copies over some of the personal details, banking details, and it's also where the individual payslips and P60s for an employee are found. So I will give you that closer look at one of my employee profiles. So we can see various options here on the left-hand side, starting with the employee details. So the employee name is locked down. If that needs to change, for example, the employee has got married and changed one of their names, you can just upload, you would update the details in Payroll, and when you upload the next payslips, that change will sync through. We've got the email address that the employee uses to log in. Now again, if that needs to change, there is a specific process you'll need to follow. And then the other one I want to show you here is the access level, which should be set to employee access for the majority of your employees. But if you do have employees that require admin access, and bear in mind that will give them access to all the settings and to be able to see things like payslips and P60s, you can amend the access level here to administrator. We are going to stick to employee for this particular employee. That's the employee details. You've got some personal details. So these have been pushed across from Payroll. So things like the employee's address, and some contact details. We've got bank accounts. If you've got these recorded in Payroll, these are also synced to HR. And then we've got the employees' payslips and P60s. This is the exact view that they would see. So these are the ones that have been published. So everything up until last month at the moment. And then the October payslip will be added here on the published date. So they can view or download their documents. As an admin user, you can delete payslips and P60s for an employee profile. So that's where you find your employees. They're all stored there in the company directory. So the reports for HR online services are pretty basic. You'll see much more reports if you have any other HR modules, but you'll see a report of any terminated employees. That's employees that have left your business. You'll be able to export employee details, which could be used to import into payroll, although there's a better way of syncing changes these days. And you've got some access logs. So this tells you which of your users have logged in within the last 24 hours, the last month, and then some stats on mobile app usage and employees that have never logged in. And this is one of the ways you can resend a welcome email for employees that haven't ever logged in. It can also be done via the employee profile. So that's a quick look at the main areas of the portal, but I also want to show you some of the key settings. Now, you can only access settings if you're an admin user, which I am. So I'm going to click on my admin username here at the top of the screen, and this is where you'll find the settings option. So a few settings here that you can work through and explore. So on the general settings, you have got the option of uploading your company logo to be used in the header. That's up here. And also on your company login page and notification emails. But I just want to show you the permissions area, because you do have some options controlling what employees will see when they use Sage HR. So there is a global permissions area, and these permissions will apply to all users, regardless of access level. And I also want to show you briefly some of the employee permissions as well. Starting with global, just to make you aware, if you didn't want to show the personal and bank accounts tabs in the employee records in HR, they can be switched off. So if you're not interested in syncing information or getting your employees to self-serve, things like change of personal details, that can be switched off. And then there are a number of fields that can be switched on or off that you would find within the employee records. So you can customize that somewhat to apply globally. Looking here at the employee permissions. So there is a key setting here which affects employees who leave your business, and that is to allow them to access their pay slips after termination for a limited period of time. So if you've ticked this box to allow access after termination, you can choose 7 days, 30 days, or 1 year. And it just means that employees have the chance to access and download their pay slips and P60s from a browser after their leaving date for that specified period of time. So just wanted to show you that setting, as we're going to talk about leavers shortly. Also worth mentioning some of these security settings. So within security, you can enable two-factor authentication for your employees. Now, an admin user will have this enabled by default. So you will either need to use an authenticator app or receive a text message or phone call to log in as an admin user. You can then save the details, but you can also enable it for your employees. So it's a good way of increasing the security so that you can be confident that it is only that employee accessing their own pay slips. So that can be done here, and you can read more about two-factor authentication following the link. So yeah, that's your online portal. Just give you a quick recap of that, and then we'll talk starters and leavers. So that was a quick tour. Navigation is done on the left-hand side. So we've got the dashboard, we've got the pay slips view for admin users. We've got the company directory. It's where all your employee records are stored. A couple of reports, and we've looked there at some of the settings so global and employee permissions and two-factor authentication. Now, once you have integrated Sage 50 Payroll with Sage HR, it does give you some more options when it comes to dealing with starters and leavers. So you might want to consider reviewing your current processes to see whether you would want to take advantage of any of these features. So talking about starters to begin with, you already know that to create an employee in Sage HR, you could set them up in Payroll in the usual way and then upload a payslip. And that's exactly how I created all of my employee profiles for today's demo. But you do now have an option of setting up an employee in Sage HR and then importing the employee details into Payroll. And you might consider doing this if you subscribe to any of the additional HR modules, such as the core HR module, which has some onboarding tasks that you can assign that you might want your employee to use before their first payslip. So I'm going to show you how that works in the next demo. Similarly for leavers, because you've got an employee record set up in Sage HR, you would need to record leaving details, or you have the option of recording leaving details, which will terminate the profile. Now, this does remove access to the HR profile for the employee, unless you've ticked the box to allow access to payslips and P60s after termination. But by doing this in HR, you then have the option of importing that leaving date into Payroll. Well, you might prefer just to run the leaver wizard in the usual way, but there's another way you can do it if you're integrated with HR. And the third thing I'll try and show you in this demo is importing employee updates. So any change that you make in Payroll will be pushed to HR the next time you upload payslips. But one of the great features of HR is that you give your employees self-service to their payslips and P60s, but also to be able to update personal details or bank details from the Sage HR portal, and then have that information flow back into Payroll by importing any updates. So that's one of the options in your Payroll tasks, and I'm going to try and show you all three of those in this next demo. So let's just bring the slides down once again. We're going to start off in HR by adding a new starter. You'll still need the information that you would have needed in Payroll to set up the employee, but if we're adding them into HR, from the company directory, we can click this add button, or you have a quick action where you can add a new employee from here. You would enter some basic details for the employee. So I've entered a name and an email address. This is the email that they're going to use to log in. And at the point you set this employee up, you can invite them to create their login for Sage HR right now, or you can send them that welcome email a little bit later on, either when you upload the first payslips or by resending the welcome email from their profile. So we're going to send that now, and we're going to create the account. And because we want to send this information into Payroll, what we can now do is we can complete the employee details. So I've got the name entered. Let's just add the date of birth. Got marital status and gender. You can add a couple of address lines. And then within the employment details, you would record the details of their starter checklist if they don't have a P45, or if you do have a P45, you can select the option to record their P45 details as well. So we're just going to go with the starter checklist, and we're going to choose the declaration the employee signed on that checklist. We can add the national insurance number, director status, and the student loan status. Then we've got our payment method and frequency. It's going to pop some contracted hours in. And for this one, I'm going to add the monthly salary. And then finally, we would add some bank account details. Now, if you don't have the bank account details to hand, or if you don't record bank account details, you do need to enter something here. So I'm just going to put some dummy information, which can then be amended or removed from payroll once the record is imported. Now, by setting up the employee this way, it will then allow us to import these details into payroll. And then when we upload the first payslip, the payslip will be added to this new profile within Sage HR. So that's dealing with a starter. I also want to show you updating personal details. So I have an existing employee, and I'm just going to switch to the employee portal just to give you a feel of what that looks like. So this is basically a slimmed down portal compared to the admin one. Obviously, they won't have access to settings or to everyone else's payslips and P60s, but an employee would still have their own dashboard. They would be able to view their profile. So from here, they can see their employee details. They can check their personal details and bank accounts, and they would get a view of their own payslips and P60s. So pretty much identical to the view that the admin user says, but they don't have the option of deleting them. So let's say this employee has moved house and they want to let us know. What they can do is they can simply update their profile in Sage HR. So I'm just going to change the address details just here, just make some small changes. And they can then save their own profile, like so. And then if I just switch back to the admin view and have a look at that same employee, employee one, looking at the personal details, we can see that that has updated in HR straight away. Now, because the change has been made in HR, we should now be able to import that information to payroll. So let's take a look at that now. So in your payroll process, you'll see there's an option to import employee data right at the start of the pay run. It's also in the payroll tasks. So if we run this option, you're prompted to take a backup if you don't already have one. So I'm just going to click no to continue without one. And then it'll check with Sage HR to see if there's any information to update. And we can see that we have a starter to import and I also have employee updates. So that new starter, if I click on the tile, it will show me the details, including the start date. We can view the full details we're about to import. You can make any changes to formatting or anything like that. And then to bring the record in, we would tick it and click import. Can we click yes to continue? And that will then create the employee record in our payroll. Now, while I'm here, we also have employee updates to import. So good habit to get into to check this at the start of each pay run. Again, we can have a look at what's changed. I can see straight away it's the address that's been updated. So again, I can tick the box, click import. And that has then updated the existing record. So you can do something similar for leavers. If you terminate an employee, you can import their leave date. But just to show you here, it's created employee 6. This is our new employee using the details. And we can set them up for online pay slips. So on the analysis tab, I can tick enable online services. And also for employee 1, you can see the new address details have been imported, updating the existing record. And then when it's time to do our pay slips for the current month, I'm just going to publish these immediately now, just so that we can see them. That will then add the pay slip to our new employee. So just returning to my company directory, we can see employee 6, payslips and P60s, we now have our first payslip for that new employee. So just a flavour there of what you can do, the options that you have available, particularly if you start to adopt Sage HR more widely. So just to recap what we've covered in that demo there, once you've added a new starter, terminated an employee, or updated any employee details, within your payroll process at the start of the pay run, you can import your employee data. You can then choose the category where there's any updates. It'll show you what's changed. If you're happy with those changes, you can select it and then import the changes into your payroll. And you can read more about that process by following the link on the slide. I also want to quickly mention that if you need to change an employee email address for any reason, there is a specific process you need to follow. So it will involve removing the existing profile in Sage HR, then amending the email address in Payroll. And then if you upload historical payslips under that new email address, it'll send out a new invitation email. And a brand new profile will be created with those historical payslips kind of attached. We also saw in that previous demo a quick look at the employee portal. This is where the employees can self-serve their own personal details, bank details, payslips and P60s. In addition to that, they have access to an online, a mobile app, the Sage HR app, which is available in the App Store and Google Play Store. So they can view their profile from there as well. They can view payslips and P60s. They can even download the PDF if they need to their mobile device. So do check out more information on our help center. So that really brings us to the end of the demo, as we are nearly out of time, but we are going to stick around just to make sure we've answered the questions that have been coming through. As we do that, I just want to run through some of the further support we have available to you, starting with a brand new service we now offer, where we can give you one-to-one bespoke training with one of our Sage experts using remote support to deliver that training. So if you're new to our software, or if you want some help with setting up a particular service, such as Sage HR online services, you can book in with one of our support experts, and you would get a dedicated training session. For prices and availability, just drop us an email at the email address there on the slide. Just to mention some of our upcoming webinars this month, we are mainly pension themed. So we have sessions on the pension assessment, pension the basics, pension calculations, everything that you see in there, various dates and times available. So if you'd like to join us and brush up on your pensions knowledge, you are more than welcome to. And in November, we have another one of our HR advice webinars on dealing with performance issues within the first 2 years of employment. So do check that out as well. A quick mention of our online help centre at sage.co.uk/help, which you can also access by clicking any help option in Sage 50 Payroll, as well as Sage University at sageu.com, where you can complete e-learning courses, online certification, and bite-sized learning. So that has brought us to the end of the 45 minutes. As I say, we will stick around a little while longer just to make sure we've replied to any questions in the chat. If you want to keep any questions, don't forget to copy and paste them into another document, and take this opportunity to grab a copy of the handout if you would like that. We will also send you a follow-up email, which includes a link to the recording of today's session. So look out for that arriving in your inbox later this afternoon. And one last favour to ask before you leave us is to complete our webinar survey, which should appear as you leave the webinar. There's also a link to that in the follow-up email. We'd love to know what you think of these sessions. We do read all of your comments, and it really does help us to improve them moving forward. So with that said, I'm just going to go and check on the questions, and I will come back to say goodbye when we're going to close things down. So I'll speak to you shortly. Hi again, everyone, and thank you so much for sending those questions through. We're still working through the last couple of answers to come through, so thank you for your patience there. We will close down the webinar once we have sent those answers out. So let me take this opportunity to thank you all for joining us today. Thanks for sticking with us till the very end. On behalf of myself and Alice, enjoy the rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you on some of our other webinars in the near future. But it's goodbye for now.